to Nasty Knuckles, the Hockey Outlaws podcast, with your hosts, Derek Nasty Settlemyre and former Philadelphia Flyer enforcer Riley Cote, as they go behind the scenes with your favorite NHL players. This week's guest, NHL veteran goaltender and former Philadelphia Flyer, Steve Mason. Time to face off.
All right, welcome back to Nasty Knuckles. What's happening, Nasty?
What's shaking, Rig Aurelia? Just having a little tea this morning.
Oh, a little tea, caffeinated or non?
I think it's non, but I don't really need it.
No,
well, sometimes I do, but I had a good night's sleep last night.
There you go. Slept in.
So I did.
7:45, man. What's
Woo.
up with that?
I don't know what happened. I woke up. It was light out. That never happens, man.
I think you're still recovering from the ball hockey tournament.
I'm feeling great. You're the one with the inflammation.
I definitely have some inflammation. Got some pockets in my knees going on right now.
Well,
heavily inflamed.
Yeah. So I battled through, played in our men's league game,
I don't know how
which you couldn't make.
Dude, I couldn't move.
Dude, we got drummed by the Blue Devils. Drummed, like beat on. And I think they started making a 5-pass rule.
Oh,
Like,
man.
kids, I'm just kidding. They may have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
there's no chance I was making that. I could not move, honestly. It wasn't until yesterday that I could actually walk properly. It looked like I was... I had some 2x4s strapped to my back of my hammies.
I had 3 ice baths from the time we finished playing until the next day for the men's league game. And I was still hurting, but I came in for my team. I was there and the boys were upset with you.
I know they were.
Maddie wasn't there either. Maddie didn't make it. JD wasn't there. You weren't there. We had to fill in Tony Vos, our buddy. What happened to him? Nope, bailed. I never said I was coming. Tony, I'm going to get you, brother. It was like us playing with only 5 guys in that ball hockey tournament. It was the worst.
A couple bailouts there, too.
Oh, God. Oh,
people don't realize what they're getting themselves into running like that, how much running is involved in playing against these National Ball Hockey League guys and how efficient they move and how lean. I mean, they're athletes, so it's not good. Just Division III men's league where you can just stand still. Like there's no standing, there's nowhere to hide.
You know there's a problem when your brain's telling your legs to run and you can't. And that's the first time that's ever happened to me in my life. I'm serious. I literally, by the end of when we're in that playoff game playing with 5 players, I was like, I literally can't run down to the court. I was staying around mid court and then just playing D, using my energy for D, which I was pretty damn stellar. If I must say, a couple block shots. I'm kidding, man. Good stick, yeah.
Stick on ball.
Good sticks. Our goalie, our boy McCracken, he's yelling, "Get out of the way!" He just wants to see it. He just wants to see the shot coming in. But man, what a weekend! It was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Got to thank all of our all the people that helped. But there's so many people that helped out. But our sponsors, Sky Motors, Toby, the National Ball Hockey League, Milek, Zados, Body Check, Settlemyre Hockey, and so many more people that just came over to help out. And I was so happy with the turnout, Riggs. I couldn't believe how many people came.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was nice to see Franny show up with his masks and just support. He's been a huge supporter of ours for a long time. And
Caitlin, with the Blade Shades and the wraparound, hockey wraparound.
And the Warriors guys,
awesome. Loved having them there, man.
They're all beauties, and I didn't think they knew what they were getting themselves into as far as the amount of work. But they had some fun.
They had a couple coolers of beer and some pizza. They were happy. They were happy.
Exactly.
It was awesome having them there, man.
So overall,
especially on 9/11,
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. But a great day. The weather was perfect. Any hotter would have been probably too much, but there was a little breeze. But overall, awesome. Really appreciate the National Ball Hockey League guys for supporting this and working with us, and it's so professional the way they operate and how they make these tournaments work. So we'll be doing it again in the spring and then the fall. Gonna stay out of the summertime weather because
let's stay out of that.
It's a little too much.
Unless we've got 100 cold tubs out there, I do not.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need next year. Any pool sponsors out there that want to get involved? Maybe we have a nice big cold tub set up in the middle of the 3 rinks there for in between games.
I could have used it that day.
Oh, no,
that would have been key. I'm telling you.
Self-preservation.
Well, I never thought we'd be playing with 5 guys either. And we do have to say we've never really, I've played street hockey, but we were playing on a full-size rink, 4-on-4 with guys that do this every week. We lost 2 games in overtime, which is pretty impressive.
Yep.
I know it was probably pissing everybody off because they know how to play that game. We were kind of winging it, but we had a great goalie, and we won a game with Mark Farzetta, with the big G dub. I think that was the only goal Selly I saw all day when he put that in. He said to me, Farsi said, "Man, what a great pass." All I was thinking was, I remember hearing you guys always say, stick on the ice, stick on the ice. I'm like, well, we weren't on the ice, but stick on the ground, whatever. Right. But he's like, that's all I was thinking. I said, see, buried it, man.
I'm surprised he had the energy to celebrate.
Oh, he was pumped. I loved it, though. I was like, oh, my God, we might win. He scored that with about 2 minutes ago. I'm like, they pulled the goalie. They're just taking rippers. I'm like, oh, God, don't hit me.
Yeah, that was the strategy, ripping balls from every possible angle and shooting for rebounds and then catching guys turning towards the net and scooping up the trash.
You had a couple G's too. A
couple apples.
Yeah. I had 3. I had 3, but who was counting, Lucky.
Well, it was a great time. So we look forward to doing that again, and appreciate everybody that was involved in helping make this thing a success. So anything else going on in the hockey world, Nast?
Want to say a quick congratulations to our good friend Paul Holmgren, USA Hall of Fame. Great honor, man. He deserves it. He's been a real positive influence during my career as an equipment manager. I don't know if you say career, but what I was saying. He always supported me, and he was kind of a second dad for me. So congratulations, Mr. Holmgren. It's a huge honor, man.
Yeah, I appreciate Homer too. He was probably my number 1 fan, and probably one of the main reasons I was even with the Phantoms, let alone the Flyers. So nothing but respect for Homer and all the amazing stuff he's done in the hockey world and how he's overcome some personal battles and really just thrived, not just survived. And it's amazing to see. And then now he's, inducted into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, which is there's a ton of big names there. So
for sure, it's awesome.
All right, Nas, let's jump into episode 40 with our man, Steve Mason. Let's go.
Mase Daddy, let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Nasty Knuckles. I'm Riley Cote.
And I'm Derek Settlemyre. And this week, we are so happy to have our main man, number 35, Stone Cold Steve Mason. What's up, Mase Daddy?
Not too much, guys. It's great to see you. It's been too long.
Yeah, you too.
No kidding, man. Way too long. I see you on, we text a lot, but I basically only get to see you on Instagram, man. And it looks to me, my first question is going to be, what the heck are you up to? But it looks to me like you're cooking a lot, on the boat a lot, really having a tough time. But I know you probably are because you have 3 young daughters, and it's probably harder on Brittany than you. But what's going on, man?
Yeah, you know what? It's been 3 years out of the game now, and the first year was kind of a blur being off, and then you kind of settle into a whole new routine. And as you touched on, I've got three young girls right now, 3 daughters, and I got a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 9-month-old. So it's a busy household, and we've been spending a lot of time. We got a cottage up north, which is unbelievable, and doing a lot of boating and things like that in the summertime, and just kind of enjoying things and trying to again settle into new normal for me, not being around the game of hockey, which, for Riley, I'm sure you can kind of attest to. It's an adjustment to get away from your daily routine that you basically live with for your entire life, right? So, in saying that, I'm very happy with where we're at, and looking forward to seeing the girls grow up and whatever else may come our way here.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, live the life, man. You deserve it. It's like all that hard work. You may as well take advantage of the boat and the lake, and really just spend the time, that precious time with your children, because that's it's priceless for sure.
Yeah, you don't get those early years back with them, right? And when I was still playing, I just had the one daughter, and there's little things that you miss along the way. I missed the first birthday and things that you can't get back, right? So the silver lining is now I'm around all the time, and I get to help out with things, and be around for the small little moments that otherwise you would have taken for granted, and it's nice to be there for it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, too, you miss the day to day of having a purpose and things like that, going to the rink, being with the boys, traveling, the nice dinners. You miss that kind of. You don't necessarily, in my opinion, miss the game so much, but it's just being around the boys, everything that comes around with being a hockey player, right? So you kind of get into your new norm, which what I was saying.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's inevitable. And the whole routine thing, I think, is challenging, right? Because you're so regimented for so many years, and the season schedule and the weekly schedule and the daily schedule is handed to you, and and there's just like this sequence of events that just occur every single day, and obviously they still do in your world now, changing diapers and whatever else on, but
dishes,
it's just a little bit different.
Dishes.
Right.
You should be thanking us. We got you out of the dishes tonight.
Yeah, right.
That's right. That's one of my main chores of the household is doing the after dinner dishes. So, this is getting me out of that, which is greatly appreciated. But you know what? For when you're playing hockey, you're always on somebody else's time, right? You got the team schedule. You got to be here for that meeting, and you're away from the game now, and it's all your time. It's almost like, well, fuck, like what do you do with all this time, right? So you got to find a way to fill the days, and having 3 kids obviously is busy, but it gets to the point where it's okay, what's next? Right. So.
Yeah. I didn't play like you guys, but obviously, I was around it for 25 years, and we've talked about this before, man. I struggled so hard at first, just because I had a routine. Like I got up so early every morning, and, and all I would think in my head is, well, right now I'd be doing this, right now I'd be doing that, like, I'm going to lose my mind because, but I started my thing pretty much right away. And then fortunate enough, Riley and I put our heads together but in our case, I don't know if 2 heads are better than 1, but we came up with this plan and what we wanted to do. And we're having a ball with it. And it's been so much fun, but you're right, man. Everyone that's out of the game that we've talked to is like, what's the biggest thing is, like, everyone says the same thing, like the being there in the morning, the coffee, shooting the shit, the laughs, the dinners. It is what you really miss. That's one of the hardest things. And with everything getting started up right now, like Provorov was over today. We were just shooting the shit, and I'm like, I kind of miss this time, with everybody coming back in and everybody's fired up for the season.
Yeah.
But
good time of year.
Anyway, yeah, man, it's good to see you're doing well. You doing anything with hockey at all?
I am. Well, obviously this past year was a complete write-off. I'm sure it was down in the States too in terms of youth sports and all that. But the year prior to that, my first year being out of playing, my hometown in Oakville, which is just outside of Toronto, about 30 minutes west of Toronto. I played all my minor hockey there, and it just came up. Some of my friends do some work for the organization, and goaltending came up. They said, well, our buddy Steve Mason, he's not really doing anything right now. Maybe it's a fit. So I ended up helping out with all the goalies in the organization, all the way from 6 years old all the way up to their draft year in minor midgets. So that's 15 years old. So
oh wow, that's awesome.
Some weeks I was out of the house five nights a week, going to practices, running private lessons, and really enjoyed working with the kids and, keeping my head in the game a little bit and just being around that, give back a little bit to my minor hockey organization, which was fun. Then obviously last year was a complete write-off with COVID, and then we're just going to be starting up here in the next week or so, get back on the ice with the kids and run some private lessons. And, I have fun with it. It keeps me a little bit busy throughout the week. And it's nice just to kind of be around the kids too and seeing them have fun before it gets too political,
Oh my God.
Which is not too far away.
It's not, because Elvis just turned 7 a month or 2 ago, and he's a mite.
Yeah.
And with the job, when I started my skate, shop, I get parents coming in here pissed off this and that. And I'm just learning the kids part, like what you both went through as kids playing hockey. So you probably know about the political side of things, where this kid made it because their parents are working at the rate, and
they threw a little extra money to the team.
Pay to play.
And so luckily his group is a really good group of parents and coaches and the kids. So we haven't had any of that. I hope I don't have to deal with it, but I feel for the parents when they come in and they're dealing with it, and who knows, some may be the parents that are the ones that are not going to get out. I don't know. I try not to get into it, but I got a good group of people anyway, but that's cool. Well, you're able to give back and
it's fun for the on ice portion, but then it gets political with the parents, because I'm already getting emails being, well, what do you think about this? We really think that our son has a future, and I'm like, well, of course it does, but I'm just here to help out on the ice. I don't want to deal with any of this extra.
My son's going to play in NHL. He's playing in NHL. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. I do got to ask you, Mase, as far as like, raw talent versus like the way that the game is coached now. I see this with like, you don't see a bad skater, right? Everyone's like so skilled now. You see the same thing in goaltending, like where they're just like better athletes and they're just,
it's so different from when I was growing up or you were growing up. It's just like a full-time job for kids I'm seeing kids that are on the ice all year long, and they're 7, 8 years old, and they're not playing different sports or anything like that. And it might get them, to step up to have their skills a little bit further advanced than where I was at 7 years old. But in saying that, I feel that the kids are going to get burnt out playing, 12 months a year. Go fucking play another sport. Go play soccer.
Right.
Go play lacrosse.
Exactly.
Go play
baseball.
Be around different kids. Okay? Because you're going to meet new people. The parents are going to get tired of being around the hockey parents as well, right?
Right.
So it kind of just gives everybody a fresh kind of feel for when hockey season rolls around. And I think just in general too, for the goalie position, which is obviously I can't comment too much on defense or forwards and how their skills work, but for goalies, it's a position I think that definitely takes a little bit longer for them to figure out how to play. So you're not really seeing kids that are 6, 7 years old that really stand out, because there's so much to learn to be a goalie, and skating is such a huge part of that, as I'm sure Nasty you're seeing with Elvis. You're moving around with your skating, but you're moving around and skating with pads on, right? So that's a whole nother aspect. But just the amount of money that parents throw at the game now, and the year-round training. Like, hockey's not a cheap sport to play.
No.
And when you're playing it 12 months a year, you add on all these kids now have to have the coolest equipment, the one-piece sticks. I got 3 girls. I'm not sure if they're going to be hockey players, but I'm going to be
goalies
from the goalie equipment,
Dude, how old were you, Mase, when you actually decided I want to be a goalie?
I played hockey for 2 or 3 years. I think I was 9 when I switched full time.
Okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I always knew I wanted to be a goalie. When practices rolled around, if the goalie didn't show up, I would hop in net.
Okay.
At those ages too, we rotated a lot too. But I always wanted to playing road hockey after school. Nobody wanted to be the goalie, but I always wanted to be a goalie. So it was something I always wanted to do. And then, I think it was when I was 9, came time to register for hockey, and I said, "This is the year I want to do it." my dad said, "Yeah, no problem." My mom says, "Are you fucking crazy? Like, no way, right?"
Yeah, right.
And so that was it. That was the rest of the game.
I've told this story before, Mase. I was telling Hexy when he was here, Ron Hextall, that, you know, LV, he just wants to put the pads on all the time. And I'm like, you know, but he likes to play out too. But he's every night he's like, "Can I put will you shoot on me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Deke," because that's what he called me, Deke. He always called me Deke. He goes, "Deke, take up street hockey ball and fire it right off his forehead." He goes, "He'll be done." And I said, "Hex, he's 4." He goes, "Yeah, I know." And he'll never play goalie again. He goes, "He'll cry. It's going to hurt." I can't fucking hit my 4-year-old in the fucking mind with a hockey ball.
Hexy forgot that he was a goalie for a real long time.
No, listen, Hexy always would say, "I'm not in the union. I gave my card away." I'm like, you can't. I'm like, he goes, "Those guys are fucking crazy." I said, "What?" I'm like, you and Billy Smith might be the 1 and 2.
Right,
Like, I remember one time after a game, we were sitting in the dressing room after just kind of unwinding and whatnot, and Hexy rolls in, and I forget what I fucking did, but he's like, "Well, what the fuck was that?" I was like, "Hexy, do you not remember what kind of fucking goalie you were?" Like,
yeah.
He's like, "I'm not a goalie anymore, right? I'm on the other side of things." Like, yeah. So
that's what he would always say. He's like, "I gave my card up, Deke." I'm like, "You can't give your card away, man. That's not how it works." But
tender for life.
Used to make me laugh, man. You gotta have a Hitch story for us.
So fuck. I didn't deal with Hitch a lot just because he was the head coach, and goalies typically don't deal with the head coaches a whole lot, right? You got your own goalie coach, but fuck, we were in Columbus, obviously, and I don't know if we walk in the room, in the dressing room there in Columbus, and you walk in the main entrance, and off to the left is the coach's office, and then off to the right is the locker room where you put your street clothes and all that, right? So the boys were walking in. When I was there, we were all young. We all lived in the same. It was like, fuck, we lived in dorm rooms. There was an apartment complex across from the arena, and we were probably 6 or 7 of us that all walked or lived there. So every morning we'd all walk across together, and fuck, we roll into their dressing room, and Hitch is in his room, and he's got his fucking shirt off, right?
Flexing.
Sitting there getting a fucking massage by our fucking massage therapist, and Hitch is buried his fucking head in the fucking table right like this, and fuck massage therapist is looking at just like puking in his mouth a little bit. Right? So we were walking in, whatever. That was the end of that story. And then another time, we always had a fucking bagels and muffins from Tim Hortons. It was just part of like the breakfast spread, right? And that was in the players' lounge area. So we're sitting on the couch, kind of watching the morning sports highlights, and Hitch walks in and grabs a chocolate chip muffin, rips it in half, and puts the other half back. He's like, "Well, kind of just watching what I'm eating here," and walks off. 5 minutes later, comes in, gets the other half there, right? And then he probably came in for the other fucking portion of it, the other muffins too. And then, oh man, I got one more. We're having our video meeting, and he throws a Halls in his mouth, and Hitch has sometimes you can have a higher pitched voice, especially when you get screaming and everything that, right? So he's talking about how he got to fucking compete and all this shit, right? And he throws a hole in his mouth, and he starts sucking on it. He sucks too hard, and it goes down and gets caught in the throat there, right? So just fucking hacking on it, and I mean, fuck. Unless you know the man,
Yeah.
You mean so well, and away from the game, he's such a nice man, right?
He is.
He sometimes can get a bad rap from the players, and wearing thin on guys sometimes, but I don't want to say too many.
No, I know.
Right? But you know how he is.
Yeah. I was fortunate. He was really good to me, and that was because of John Stevens. So he was really good with me. And again, he was let go like 9 games in that year. We had a tough year. So I didn't get I got some really good stories from the 9 games, but just hearing him, talking to the fuck, you gotta compete. You're playing sideways. Like, that's the first time I ever heard, he would say that all the time. Play the right way. like, oh God.
He's a character.
But yeah, he was a character. But
like the time he blamed Freddie Meyer for bending and denting the foam roller. Every morning he'd have this routine. He'd go on his elliptical. He'd read the full newspaper in a sweat jacket. I don't even think he sweat.
I was going to say, how fast was he going on?
The slowest cruise control. And then he'd get off and he would get on the foam roller, which was part of his routine. And then, I don't know, it was halfway through the season. Or no, it wasn't it was like the early part of the season because that was the year he got fired. He was like, Freddie, he's like, did you bend this foam roller? And, Freddie's like $180, ripped, jacked. Maybe $175. And he was dead serious. He was accusing Freddie of bending this foam roller, and Hitch, I don't know, might not have been Freddie. He might. And then the same thing with the protein bars he did with the muffins. There, he said he would eat half of it, and he's like half of a protein bar, and then he'd come back for the other half, and then 2 halves, 3 halves, and he's just forgetting the math on it. But he's clever. He's all strategy with Hitch, right?
How do you keep those protein bars stacked or stock for him, eh?
Yeah. He didn't like. Well, he never got mad at me, but I've told the story a million times. I won't tell it, but he did not like me drinking the Red Bulls because
you're too jacked.
He was just, you gotta be calm, cool, and collected, young Derek. I'm like, you gotta be fucking ready, Hitch. He goes,
with all the hours you're pulling, you gotta take whatever you gotta take to get fired up.
Good point.
Jesus.
Good point. Oh man.
You want to play good? You want to play great?
Yeah.
Never understood that.
That's what they said, man. That's what they used to say. But your coaches, like who were your coach? Who were your other coaches in Columbus? Actually,
I went from Hitch to Scott Arneal.
Oh yeah, Scott. That's when they started. They didn't this season. Was that his first year where they started like behind the 8 ball like so bad?
Oh yeah, we lost. No, I was never there with Torts. I was there. This was Arneal, and then we had Todd. Arneal was fired, and then Todd Richards, who was our assistant at the time, took over.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
With Arneal, we never. I mean, my first year in Columbus, we had made the playoffs there. It was a good year, and then the last couple of years was a shit show, and I didn't play very well, and the team wasn't performing, and Arneal was fired after a year and a half, and then Todd Richards took over, and then I was traded to the Flyers, and at that time, Labby was still the coach, so I got traded there. I think that was a lockout year that I was traded to the Flyers there, but
well, going back a second, your rookie year, let's don't look past that. You had 33 wins, and you won the Calder Memorial Trophy, which is, I mean, amazing. Especially, that's for every rookie player. That's not just a goaltending thing. That had to be unbelievable for you being a young kid like that.
Yeah, really, I don't even think it's kind of. I kind of played off maybe a little bit. I was like, it was a cool thing, but it's a major NHL award, which
big time.
But the first year was just such a whirlwind. I didn't start the season with the team. As most goalies do, you start in the American Hockey League, but I missed all training camp because I had a knee surgery. So started off behind the 8 ball there, and then finally rehabbed that. Went down to Syracuse, where the Blue Jackets affiliate was at the time. I'm not sure where they are now, but went down to Syracuse, played 3 games there. And at the time the Jackets starter was Pascal Leclerc. He got hurt. So after 3 games in the American League, got called up just on an emergency basis. Was supposed to be back was supposed to be up for a week and a half at most. So packed, a small suitcase, didn't really have a whole lot of clothes with anticipation of going right back. And then my first game backing up, or was supposed to be backing up, morning skate, our other goaltender, Freddie Narina, pulled his groin or something in morning skate. So, and I wasn't even aware of that. I stayed on for the extra work, practice and all that. So I get off the ice, and Hitch pulls me into his office, and he's like, Mase, he's like, do you want to play tonight? I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, well, I'm here. Well, like, holy shit. I'm like, are you fucking serious? So,
Steve, do you want to play?
Yeah, he's like, do you want to play? So I said, fuck yeah. So I went back, had pregame meal and went back to the hotel because I was staying in the hotel. And
could you sleep?
I couldn't fucking sleep a wink, man. I was nervous and I was excited, had fucking anxiety, and all these emotions going on, right? Called my parents, and rookie contract state that the team will fly your parents in for your first game, but it was so short notice that they couldn't get in for it. But no big deal. So get to the rink, and we were played Edmonton. We ended up winning in overtime, and I didn't play great, but we still won, which was awesome. And then played the next game, and then the next game, and I think a couple of games after that, and Scott Housen was the GM at the time there, and he said, how much clothes did you bring with you? I said, I'm kind of out. I was like, I'm starting to have to do laundry at the hotel, and it's kind of not the best situation. He's like, well, you obviously don't have your vehicle here. I said, no, it's back in Syracuse. He's like, well, find a way to get your truck here and get the rest of your, a good portion of your clothes here. So my parents went to my place in Syracuse that I hadn't even moved into. It was a brand new spot that all my clothes were sitting in my truck in the parking lot of the condo building I was supposed to move into. And parents drove down to Columbus with my truck and the rest of my clothes. And that was it. I said,
look back.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, and then the year just went on, and, as you said, there was 33 wins and some shutouts along the way, and just things just happened really easy that year, which was a bad thing for me because after that year I said, well, fuck, that was easy, and it's not an easy league. And the next year was an eye opener for me, and struggled to kind of find my way after that. And then, as I said, got traded to the Flyers, and that was during the lockout year. And I remember getting on the fucking plane, and those last couple of years in Columbus really did a number on me, and mentally, and was just shot mentally. And I remember getting on the plane and sitting there and just said, this is either going to be a new start or it's going to be it. Which way are we going to go? And got to Philly, and knew some of the guys there already, which was nice to go into a setting where you already knew some of the boys. Played the World Juniors with a handful of them there. So it was good to get out of Columbus and do a new, fresh situation, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. You walked in, you came into Philly and dropped 33 wins there.
Yeah,
first year. So I think you had a great stint while you were here. I hated to see you go. We, became pretty good buddies, and
you know what? I absolutely loved every minute of playing with the Flyers. Good moments, bad moments, whatever it was. When after my contract was up there and I didn't get an offer presented, I was really disappointed because I didn't want to leave in any way, shape, or form. And then obviously went to Winnipeg after Philly, and things never worked out there, and had a tough year in Winnipeg with some injuries. Didn't start off playing well, and then Hellebuck came in and just stole the show, and that was basically it. And got traded, or the contract was traded to Montreal and then bought out on free agency there, which was a whole nother story in terms of, getting traded on free agency day, where the lead up to free agency, there's already contracts in place and agreed upon. So I was kind of left high and dry, and I kind of just checked out after that and said, that was it. But not getting brought back to Philly was, that sucked. I was disappointed with that. Loved playing there, loved being around the guys there, the whole staff in general. Playing at Wells Fargo Center was just an amazing experience too, right? So I was definitely disappointed not to come back.
Yeah, I bet. Hey, can you talk about your mindset a little bit? You mentioned it briefly. You're kind of deflated in Columbus, and it seems to be like when a guy goes to a new team, there's like a new energy, a new spirit in them, and then they have this opportunity to kind of recreate themselves, which you did. You spent parts of 5 years there in Philly. And then the opposite kind of happened on the tail end in Winnipeg, where it's like, you're so dispirited now. It's like, it's like, let's just talk about the mindset there, because I don't think people realize just the psychology behind the sport, especially specifically goaltending, but then having to go somewhere else and kind of revitalize your career.
people look at, in my opinion, they see the NHL and the lifestyle that you're able to live, and quote unquote celebrity status, and making good money and all this. And I'm not trying to make a sob story or anything, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of human emotion involved, and you're still a human being and whatnot. So when I was in Columbus, first year, obviously everything went too smooth. Like there was no real hiccups along the way. And as a young goalie, I was 20 years old, I guess, my first year, and the toast of the town, so to speak. Here comes young goalie, and we made the playoffs that year, and rookie of the year, and nothing but really good things that had happened that year. So you go out for dinner, and you go to the mall, and people are, oh my God, hey, there's Steve Mason, and holy shit, like, this is kind of cool and whatnot.
It happens to me daily. I mean.
Yeah, well, they're nasty.
I'm kidding. There's not a fucking.
And then then you come back the second year and struggled, but there's still a positive vibe from the year before, from the fan aspect. And then the third year rolls around, and again wasn't playing well, and then that was obviously wearing thin on the fans. And I'm still a really young guy at that point, trying to figure out how to be a better goalie, how to be a pro, because that's a whole other aspect, right? You go from playing junior hockey, and if you're a good junior hockey player, there's a definite skill variation from the top players to the bottom players, where the NHL is obviously different, right? So the third year rolls around, and the fans are just, they're not happy with me being the goaltender there. And the starting introductions happen, starting in goal, number one, Steve Mason, and I'm getting booed in the home arena, which fucking sucks.
That's fun, right?
And like, I'm not trying to play poorly. It's just I'm struggling to figure it out as a young goalie.
Well, Mase, not to just take up for you here, but I mean this for all goalies. Like, it's not just on the goalie.
Yeah.
Like, and I know you're not going to say, well, our team wasn't that good, but sometimes your team's not that good in front of you. Yes, you're the last line of defense, and you're expected to be there to make that save. I get it. I'm not trying to take up for goalies. But a lot of time, people, some people see it, some people don't.
Yeah.
People that really know hockey understand it, but that's no fun being at home.
Yeah, that's no fun at all.
I mean, that's not
fun. And, especially like I said, being young, had never really gone through the real down parts of playing hockey, because, growing up, minor hockey was a pretty good goaltender. Junior hockey was a good goaltender. And then obviously the first year in the NHL was good. So to try and figure out and navigate through some of the downsides of the game and the experience of playing pro hockey. And, you can't just hide, because now you got publicity, you got the reporters and all that. So there's, negative stuff said in the papers, and then it's just like a snowball effect, and it kind of, it's right up top, and, mental health has become a huge thing. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was really struggling with it. And then going into my fourth year in Columbus, I remember leaving at the end of summer and like having like anxiety that I had to go back to Columbus, because I just had such negative feelings there.
That's the thing people don't understand,
right.
And
then PTSD almost.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then that summer, the Blue Jackets had traded for Bob, so Borowski, right? And so the writing's on the wall there. Obviously, basically time's up there. And I actually started out the year playing better than him, but obviously they're trying to get him to be the guy and giving him the opportunity. And I remember my last game there, we might have even been playing Edmonton, so it ended where it started, playing Edmonton. And I got pulled after halfway through the second period or whatever, and just like the head's going a million miles an hour, just going over crazy stupid shit, right? And thinking about things that you have no control over. And I remember driving home as my 15-second drive across the street. I remember sitting in my fucking parking garage, and I called because I would always call my parents after a game, just quick touch base, how you doing, good game, bad game. And I remember sitting in the parking garage talking with my dad, and he's just like, "Are you okay?" And I said, I didn't even know what to say. Like I was just so lost. And then I may have played another game or two after that, leading up to the deadline. And wasn't sure if I was going to be traded at all or what would happen come the deadline. I knew in my head that if I wasn't traded, no matter where it was, if I wasn't traded, I wouldn't be playing hockey next year because I was just shot. Mentally, I was shot. I didn't have fun playing, didn't want to. I was just mentally drained from dealing with it in Columbus. And lo and behold, I got a call from fucking Paul Holmgren on the trade deadline day saying, hey, Paul Holmgren of the Philadelphia Flyers, we've just traded for you. Can you get on a plane? And I think I had 2 hours to get. I think I had like 40 minutes to get to the airport. They had a flight booked for me in record time, and packed up my shit. And as I've said a little bit earlier, got on the plane and said, okay, we either go this way or we go that way. What's it going to be? And at the time, Jeff Reese was the goalie coach there with the Flyers, and he was, I guess, a big advocate for me when I was playing junior hockey with the London Knights, and he was with Tampa at the time, and I guess he liked me in junior, and I guess Reeser was a big part of bringing me to the Flyers, and got to Philly, and I've loved every second of it.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's just awesome. As Riley and obviously Nasty too, you were such a huge part of that organization for so many years. It's just you take the fans might boo you here and there, but just like the feeling that you get putting on the jersey, I mean, nothing better, right? So.
Great organization.
That's an amazing story, because it's just almost like, when the universe knows what you need type of deal. Yeah. It's like, I can imagine as soon as you got that phone call, you felt some sort of relief.
Yeah.
Like there's some sort of spirit injected back into you immediately.
Dude, I felt 1,000,000 pounds lighter. And I didn't know what was going to happen in Philly because at that time, we had Briz on a big long-term deal, and I didn't even care. I didn't even care what my situation was going to be. I just I'm happy to be going to a whole new environment, new players, new staff, new fans.
Yep.
A new condo to live in, even though the first year I was living in across from Voorhees there, the fucking hotel there. What's it called? Right across from the skate zone.
Not the Hampton Inn. Is it the Hampton Inn?
No, that's the one down the street.
I don't know.
So that's a Holiday Inn now. No,
I don't even know what it is, but I stayed there for the better part of 3 months, and I didn't give a shit.
I was 15-second walk there.
It was like the Ritz-Carlton. It's like the Ritz-Carlton.
Well, at that time too, we had just traded for Rosie. He had just got traded as well, and Rosie, like one of the best guys I've met in the game. So we got real tight through that whole post-trade deadline situation, and it just worked out really well. And
I gotta tell, I don't know if I ever told you this, Riley, because you're not, obviously not a goalie, but this was Mase. So I get Mase, we hit it off, everything was great. You talk about Mase, like having those issues, like where your mind, like scrambling, and you're thinking, dude, I will say this, there were a couple times where right before a game or even during a game, Mase needed something. And if I didn't have it right on me, he's like, okay, no big deal. So I was just always impressed, Mase, with how nothing during a game phased you as far as if something didn't go right. But I do have to also say, we get Mase, he's got brand new pads, but they're light blue and navy, right? So he says,
wait, I got him in the
yeah, they're in the team picture. So the funny thing is, goalies, they always, the most probably sets of gear I'd ever seen someone go through is probably the most would be 4. I mean, that's pushing it, 3 to 4. Mase comes in, he's like, yeah, you got to get some, obviously he's talking to CCM, get his pads. He says, you probably want to get 2. I'm like, well, we only have this many games. It's the deadline and everything. Yeah, and a couple, some gloves and some. I'm like, oh, okay. How long do you like to wear them? 2 weeks or so. I'm like, whoa, what? 2 weeks? I'm like, what? I said, are you serious? And he goes, yeah. So my favorite thing was Mace's little way of letting me know the pads were broken down was he'd take everything over the heater. Put them on the glove dryers after the game.
Pads leading them across.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, Mase, you're making them soft. No, I'm not. And I'm like, Mase, it's softening them up. No, it's making them harder because he liked them brand new. So we literally, it was funny because we talked. Speaking of Bobrovsky, he went through 2 pair a year. He went to Columbus, and then he turned into Mase getting 12 pairs of pads a season. I'm like, I've never seen. I didn't mind because the Flyers have that deal with Migray, so they're getting their money back anyway. So it's not even a big deal. But I was just shocked because most goalies, like even Moose, who I was able to have the last few years, Moose would only go through like 2 pair, man. Maybe 3.
Moose would always have a lot of bend in his pad too, though, right?
Yeah, he liked that.
He liked the softer pad.
Yeah. So, but it was just funny, Riles. Mase was like, dude, I'm like, you might be the first goalie we can do 2 sets of gear with. And he's like, I'll do it. But the problem is, you give him the new pads at practice. He wanted to wear those in the game.
Oh, yeah.
So he couldn't do 2 sets with him because he was ready. I could have probably given him a new pair of pads every day. He would. What would you do? Like you maybe practice once or twice, maybe.
Yeah, like I like a new set. It all started when I played with the London Knights in the OHL there. At that time, the Knights had a deal with Vaughan because the Vaughan manufacturing factory was right in London, Ontario, or one of their factories was in London. So they had a good deal with the brand. And at the time, Jorg was the man, or the rep. Yeah, so we had a good relationship, and for a junior goalie, I was treated really, really well in terms of how many sets of gear I could have, and one of my sets of pads I was supposed to be wearing that night in junior hockey, you're not pregame skating or anything like that, right? So one of my pads got sliced in, I guess, a game or practice the day before, and nobody realized it. So some of the padding is hanging out, and we noticed it the morning of the game. We were there for like a stretch or something, and so I showed it to our equipment manager Chris Madden, who's the Mats, yeah, because he had the exhibition games there, right?
Yeah, so love him.
I said, Mats, what's going on? Like, can we get that fixed? He said, I don't know. He says, let's get Jorg over here. Fucking Vaughn produced a pair of pads in like 12 hours for me. Had it there for the game that night.
Remember that story?
Dale Hunter's my coach there. I put the brand new set of pads on without ever wearing them. Wore them in the game that night. We won, but I let a goal 5-hole in, right? It wasn't a great goal. And we were leaving after the game to drive up to Sudbury for a game the next night. And Dale pulls me aside as I'm about to get on the bus. He's like, what's this I hear about you wearing a brand new set of pads? He's like, that's why that fucking 5-hole goal went. He's like, if you want to play tomorrow night, you're bringing your old set of fucking pads. So,
No way.
So yeah, I always liked a stiffer pad, and then I was a big sweater. Like I'd go through a jersey every period, right? I'd have 3 sets of gitch, so all this, but that would break down the gloves. But I just like the stiffer pad, and then I thought that was part of being the perk of being an NHL player. You could have
you always got them.
You were always so good too.
I was actually worried that they weren't going to make them quick enough for me. So I'm like, dude, I remember telling Hugo, I'm like, hey, you gotta get like 2 sets. As soon as I order 2, get 2 more going.
That's right.
So I can have them. I was always worried. You walk in the back room and there's like 4 sets of Mase's pads.
I'd always go back in like the back storage area,
put it around. Oh yeah.
That's great.
New pads arrived at the arena. It was like Christmas morning for me.
Yeah, every time. And they were coming all the time.
I'd trim up like the straps to the length that I would like it. I'd put like the Loctite on like the toe strap area and just mess around with that. But and then the whole other aspect was having the mask and things like that. And that's part of being a goalie, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, hey, man. Right? So. Totally.
I don't blame you.
Funny, you brought Mats up. I got a quick little story about it. His son, we used to play. Ross, did you ever play an exhibition game there in London? Because we played.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So his son was younger at the time. He was like stick boy. He helped out. Obviously, I'm sure he did with the team, with the Knights.
He was always around.
I was always like, bring him stuff, like Flyer stuff. And he was a funny kid. So I think at this time he was about 13, and I didn't realize he was standing beside me because he had grown.
Oh, yeah.
So he's beside me, and I've got, I think, Adam from Forte was there. He had brought us lunch, and Ross, Agathos, and then Mats and a couple other people, and we're standing there goofing off. And I'm like, classic, I had to do it because Huntsy's there. I had to give the old chief line. Like, do you like big tits? So as I say it, I'm thinking it's one of the older guys. I hit Matt's son right beside me. And I'm like, you like big tits? And I turn and it's him. And I'm like, oh, and he goes, who doesn't? And everyone died. I'm like, I'm like, Matt, I'm sorry. He goes, dude, he's in the locker room. You think he doesn't hear that?
Yeah, right.
Like, but his reaction was, he just nothing. He goes, who doesn't?
Oh, that's classic.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's too good. Yeah, well, you said you're talking about gear there, and you got the masks in the background. We were actually texting with Franny a little earlier today.
Yeah, Franny was, you see the photos on all the Instagrams and things like that, right?
Yeah, insane work.
I got to Philly, and leading up to Philly, I was using Dave Gunnarsson, who's Dave Art, and he does a lot of guys in the league. And had Franny done any work with goalies in the past, or just not as
he
frequently?
Did when Ray first came.
Yeah.
He did one of Ray's razors.
Yeah.
So he had done him. I'm trying to think I think that might be it.
Yeah. So
for you, but you were a big guy for him.
Yeah. You were just like, hey man, like you're welcome to continue using Dave Gunnarsson, but I got a buddy that paints, and I think you showed me some of his work, and it was just next level. So
I can't believe what all those guys do, but Franny's stuff is just, the detail. I remember one of the pictures is with a guy with a visor on it. You could
you got the glare on the visor.
Yeah,
glare on the visor. Like how do you do that? Like,
like the first mask I got had I got it downstairs. Remember it had like the zombie Ben Franklin on it. Yeah,
that's right.
I didn't know what to expect to having a new mask come in from a guy that I had never worked with, and bought the mask, or actually he always brought the mask to the arena and whatnot to deliver it. But I just couldn't believe the detail that he was able to get from airbrushing and whatever else he does to the mask, right? But yeah, he was a lot of fun. And then I used him for the first part in Winnipeg there. It continued kind of with like the zombie dead player theme that we had basically all throughout Philly. And yeah, that guy is just most talented artist I had ever seen. I think after I had used him, I think Devin Dubnik had used him as well, and it looks like
Moose used him, and Carter.
Looks like Carter's using him as well. Which why wouldn't you, right?
Right.
What he's able to do is just, in my opinion, second to none.
I always thought it was cool with your mask too, how you incorporated the players. And then even the equipment guys,
that's right.
And the mask. I showed he had his replica. Yeah, he had his replica.
So cool.
And I was showing a couple of the guys that we had a big ball hockey tournament, Mase, this past weekend.
I saw that. Yeah.
Speaking of, you're a legend.
I am a legend.
He's a goal scorer.
Right.
But I was showing someone, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, yo, dude, look at a little chub rock there. He goes, you were.
You were.
He goes, you were a little chub rock there.
Little baby seal there now.
Can't you change that thing?
You're on TV. You got to make me look at it.
Yeah, man.
You're adding 10 pounds before the camera's out.
Yeah, I know. You put the camera on, it was 20 pounds.
That's right. He was.
Yeah, he was awesome.
A lot of fun to work with, and again, the mask just speak for himself, right?
So we were just talking about during our little break there.
Yeah.
Thanks, kids.
Jake Voracek going back to Columbus, and I Riles, you missed it because you had no Wi-Fi for thanks to the birthday girl, Kinsley. Jakey going back there. I said to Mase, bartenders, the bars are going to be happy. And Mase goes, oh, he's happy? And I said, the bars. And I'm just busting chops, but he actually is pretty fired up to be going back there. I've talked to him quite
a bit.
High Street's going to be happy to see him there.
Yes.
He's main drag there.
Yeah. Hey, Mase, I don't think you were, I think you were gone by then, but it was a couple of years ago. We were playing in Columbus, and they either love him or hate him, right? They act like he asked to be traded, but it was so funny because Jake he would do it in Philly too. If someone was heckling the boys, he would just, you know how he is. He would turn around and look them right in the eye. And it always like, I don't think people expect it.
They know that he actually heard me.
Yeah. So we were playing in Columbus, and he's like, right where you walk on the bench, there's that area. So I'm like standing right there. If I got to get a stick or whatever. And this guy is sitting there with his daughter. And I kind of felt bad for his little girl because, you know, she was only about 12. And so anyway, it kind of gets quiet. And the dad just goes, F you, Jake, you fucking traitor. And Jake turns around and goes, you think I fucking has to be traded? Are you fucking, what the fuck? I got traded. He's like, and I'm like, and the little girl starts crying. So I got her a stick. The guy shut right up. He's just like,
give him a vortex stick.
Yeah, no, I think I gave her someone else a stick, but it was just so funny because he turned around and he goes, I got traded. He goes, we didn't think I asked to be traded.
Yeah.
It was so funny, man.
It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out going back there for him.
Yeah, hopefully everything goes well for him.
On the other side of that trade, you did play with Cam Atkinson in a couple of years, right?
Yeah, I was there for a couple of years with them, and I mean, Jakey always had that love-hate relationship with the fans, right? But the boy, Cam's a great guy, but Jakey's just one of those personalities in the locker room that, you know, kind of like, well, fuck, when I was there too, you know, Hartsey was traded.
Right.
That was a big loss. Like going into that year without Hartsey being back, everything just felt different, right? Then Simmer was gone last year or 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago. So that must have been a whole weird situation.
You know, that was weird not hearing 30. You know, how he yelled before for the goalies, you know, to go out.
And now Jakey being gone, like that's just how do you? It's going to be a weird adjustment, I think, for some of the boys in the dressing room. But again, with Cam, I mean, good player, good guy. So we'll see how that works out. But
we talked to Kevin Hayes was on with us, and I felt like when the Flyers got Hazy, he kind of stepped in that role that we were missing. Hartnell. Like you missed a guy like that in your room.
Sure.
First of all, he's a good player. Second of all, he brought so much more than what was on the ice. And we talk about stuff like this all the time. But when Kevin got there, he's kind of I don't want to say class clown, but the class clown, but knows when it's time, you know, to be ready to perform. And you need that. Like you were saying, mentally, sometimes it helps you to have a guy that makes you laugh.
You got to remember you're playing a fucking game at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's the truth, right?
It's fine to get, you know, focus and things like that, but that's where you got to have a fine balance of keeping things light and not stressing out over playing a hockey game at the end of the day.
That's right, yeah.
Exactly.
Love to hear that because I think so many young players already start stressing out over everything, and it becomes a mental health issue. It really is.
And I think from what I'm seeing in just this year of Elvis hasn't really been going a year. It's close to a year now. I think, I hate to say this, but it's a lot of the parents.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And with like what you had touched on, Mase, is like 12 months a year. I mean, Wayne Gretzky even said, like, play different sports, you know, like take your break, like you said, then you're like really pumped. But I mean, I know that like all summer, Riles could tell you, like, he's been on the ice. He was on the ice all summer, you know, not every day, you know, once to twice a week. I can live with that, but I like him playing other things.
Sure.
And he enjoys it. I never even pushed him to play hockey. He just, you know, once I was gone, he wanted to, and I had the time. And now it's like, I can't believe how I feel so fortunate to be able to do this with him.
Absolutely.
Because now he like last week we had our ball hockey tournament and I missed the game. And I was like, oh my God, you know, because I've been so used to the last year and a half to doing every single thing with him. And I was like, damn, like, is there a way I could do it? But there was just no way I could do it because we had a big setup to do and it all worked out. But you miss guys like that. And I think, you know, I don't know about Columbus's room, but they did lose their captain, Foligno going to Boston and everything. Well, he got traded deadline, but to Toronto. But he'll be, for guys that don't know him, they're going to be
they're going to
dying.
be.
What is going on here?
If he's going to be, Jakey always comes in the year and he's, fairly clean shaven. He's got a fresh haircut, but as the year goes on, he looks like fucking Gritty, right?
Oh yeah.
But
he thinks he's related.
Yeah, no. As you said, if there's going to be guys that don't know anything about him, they're going to really enjoy what they're going to get out of it, right? And I don't know what kind of role they want him to be part of, but just having him in the room. I'm sure they're going to have a younger team just based off of the turnover and whatever they're going through there. But to have somebody in the room that just kind of happy-go-lucky, doesn't stress out about too much or anything like that, that's what you need. And as you're saying with the younger kids, and I've been dealing with the younger kids, you're right. You see it. You see this pressure building at kids that are 6, 7, 8 years old, and where did you lose the fact that you're playing the game, right? So to have people in the locker room and that can keep you kind of loose and not fidgeting before a game and too nervous.
Exactly.
That's really important, right?
Oh, super important. Having a guy like Jay come into your locker room, I just like laugh when I smile when I see him because he's just got like such a character. But having like a veteran guy come in and having that personality just changed the room chemistry like immediately.
When we were in Columbus, we lived same building as I was saying with a bunch of other guys, and we lived on the same floor. And he was 2 doors down from me, and some nights he'd just roll in, and some of the stuff that he would do is just nobody else does it, but it's just
right? Like, Jake.
And he'd always be like, Steve-O, like, what are you doing?
He'd call me Nasty Bear. He'd be like, Nasty Bear. That's what he always called me, Nasty Bear. But talk about a little bit another thing dealing with the Flyers here. You were fortunate. I can't not bring this up. Like, you're fortunate enough to meet and play with Ray Emery, the late great. He was just an awesome guy, man, and it was you were able to play with him a little bit there.
Yeah, I was fortunate is the only word I can really think about, because Razor was probably one of the best teammates you could ask for. Especially for myself, he was probably the best straight up goalie partner I ever had. Just in terms of the support he gave me. We've got, goalies only one goalie can play. So sometimes there's a weird dynamic between them, but I never got that. Obviously, me being a starter and Razor being the backup, I never got any negative feeling from Razor ever. One of the best teammates you could ever ask for. He was like the type of guy that you need anything, and it's no questions asked. Yeah, he's there. So when obviously news broke that he had his accident or whatever had happened there in Hamilton, I forget where I saw it come across, whether it was on TSN or something. I couldn't fucking believe it. He was there for, I think it was Reno's charity. That sure was tournament there, right? And I think I was actually supposed to be at that tournament. I forget what happened, because I was at the one prior, the year prior. And I don't know why I wasn't there for it, but I saw that news broke, and I didn't even know what to think. It was awful. I've been fortunate. I've never really lost anyone that was close to me or anything like that. So that was like the first time that somebody had passed away that was, I had a relationship with and was close with. So that was just terrible news. And everybody that played with him in the Flyers organization, Ottawa, Anaheim.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's nobody that can say really a bad thing about the guy, because he was best teammate you could ask for, best goalie partner I ever had.
Smooth, eh? So
smooth.
So smooth, man.
Sugar Ray.
Sugar, man. He could rap. He could freestyle rap.
Yeah.
I'll never forget we were in this bar, and they had some music going, and he starts doing his freestyle. He was sick. I mean, he sounded like he was a rapper. Like, he was so smooth. And he would say your name. He would say Riles. He made everything always rhyme. I'm like, dude. And you see people do that, but like, he would do it. We were just kind of mesmerized. And I I'll never forget. He finished this rap. He went on for like 2 minutes, and he was like talking about this girl's shirt, this girl, like me, whoever was with us. And he finishes, and this one chick, she's like, "Oh my God!" She's like, "You should be." She goes, "Why didn't you become a rapper?" And he goes, "Because they don't make enough." We're like, dude, you have an answer. You have the best. Everything you do is just sick.
Oh,
man.
That's a great.
He used to say, like, if I had a shirt on, he'd be like, "Sick jurors, nasty," like just like a dress shirt. Or something. But he was just the smoothest guy. When we
stanky leg too.
Yeah. Oh man, we had the first day I met him, Mase. I don't know if I ever told you this. I probably did. I picked him up. He had to do Daily News Live at Citizens Bank. Okay. So I said, "Well, bro, I'll pick you up, take you down there. You don't know where you're going." He didn't have a car here at the time yet. So we go down there and we end up making a night of it, needless to say. And we ended up in we ended up in a Michael Jackson dance off and drinkers. People were losing their mind. He was like, "Damn." And he was like, he wanted to beat me. So I think he beat me, but anyway, he was just an awesome guy. He was, oh man,
we crossed paths one summer after the season had ended, and he was back in Hamilton, and actually it might have been an all-star break or something like that. I don't even think it was summertime, but we both came back to the Toronto area, and he's like, "What are you up to?" I said, "Well, I'm actually leaving tomorrow morning. Me and my buddies were going down to Bahamas or something, right?" And he says, "Well, come on out to Hamilton, come to Hess Village or whatever," right? So we meet up with Razor in Hamilton, have a fucking big night, and my conscience kicks. I'm like, "Oh fuck, I got to be up at whatever time." So some of the boys and we head back to my place in Oakville. The other half of our guys go back to Razor's place and have a whole nother night over there.
Yeah.
We all were up in the morning to go to the airport. And like, "Holy fuck, mate!" She's like, "We just spent the whole night with Ray Emery."
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. He's like, "You just started rapping out of nowhere."
Yeah.
The best guy we've ever met. And I mean, just what a good guy.
That's right.
He was awesome, man.
Too many good stories to name.
You ain't kidding. Oh man. So Riley and I were talking about it. Your coaches in Philly. You had three coaches here as well.
Yeah.
You came in. Did you come in with Labby's lat where he only made it a few games?
Yeah. So I got traded there the deadline year, lockout, and Labby was the coach, and then the next year, like, he was fired like six
games in, right?
6 games in,
Was it
and then
6? I didn't think it was.
Chief took over.
It was less. It was quick.
Yeah.
Shitty training camp, and then.
Yeah. Well, we went to. That was one thing you may not remember, Mase, or you may act like you don't remember. we were in Lake Placid.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it's before there's really anyone there. Like, but the one thing I did like about Labby was like, it was a team out. It was a team outing. So everyone went out. It wasn't like, oh, the boys are going out once the coaches, like, they went out. They had their fun with us, and it was a really good time. But I have to say, I'll never forget this as long as I live. And you may not even remember this, but I remember us. It's not that bad. Don't worry. It was just, I just never laughed so hard. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Anyway, we're all in this bar. Hal Gill's with us. He's got the shirt off, 6'7". The guy's chiseled. And he's just chirping me because of this black leather jacket I have on. He's like, "Fuck, nice jacket, nasty. What do you like? Let me go stand on a chair and at least get eye level with him." And I'm like, I'm chirping him. I'm like, "Put your shirt on, for God's sakes." Like, what are you doing? But anyway, I walk outside at the bar. There was this, I was going to sit in this, they had a bobsled that just sits there. People sit in it and take pictures. So I'm going out being an idiot. It's like 2 a.m. So I walk out, Riles, and I just hear, like this yelling. And I'm like, I turn, here comes Mase, full sprint, right down whatever it is, Main Street. I don't know what you call that. There's no one out but us, like in the bar. And he comes running by. And I'm like, "Where are you going?" He goes, "Hotel." He just keeps going. Next morning, I'm like, "I don't know." I said the next morning, I said, "Mase," I was like, what were you doing last night? He's like, oh, so you guys, whatever. And I'm like, no, I came outside and you were sprinting down the middle of the street. He's like, no, I wasn't. Yeah, you were. I'm like, I don't know where you came from. I don't know where you said you were going to the hotel. I wish I had my phone.
I practiced that morning. I want to get a good night's sleep.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That wasn't probably very productive training camp, but the 3 to 4 nights we were there were long nights. I remember Ryan Podell, poor guy. We went to play golf when you guys went and did the team stuff. Yeah. And he puked the whole morning. I'm like, how can you still be? Why aren't you dry heaving by now? It's unbelievable. But that was. Then you had Chief, and that's what I was going to say too about Ray. He's had to start that playoff. We made it in the playoffs, right, and we lost in Game 7.
Yep.
And Ray won Game 2. He had a tough Game 1, tough Game 3. But I remember Chief saying if we'd have had Mase, I think, nothing against Ray, but you were our guy. You were the number one guy, and we lost 2-1 in Game 7. And those guys ended up going to the finals. I mean, that's what you just never know, right? Like you never know what's going to happen. But I will say this: it was Game 2, and I'm standing in MSG is my favorite building.
Yeah, me too.
And so I hear someone banging on the glass, and they usually don't let anyone down there because you got all those people, and usually the stars are sitting right behind there. And someone's banging on glass. I turn around, it's Spike Lee, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, I'm trying to get my phone. I'm like, I want to take a selfie through the glass, and he's trying to talk to me. I can't hear him, so he points like that. So I walk down, and he goes, "Yo," he's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Mars Blackman here again," and he starts laughing. Mase, you guys are probably too young, but he used to do this thing with Michael Jordan. He was this character, Mars Blackman. And it's got to be the shoes. That's what he would always say. But anyway, I had to say it because I grew up, right. Mars Blackman and Michael Jordan. So anyway, he's like, "What's up, man?" He gives me a hug and he says, "Where's Ray Emery?" And I look, and Ray had just gone off the ice and he was playing. Mm-hmm. And I said, he just went off the ice. And he's like, "Oh man," he goes, "All right, do me a favor, please tell him that Spike Lee said good luck." And I said, "I will." Like, no, I did take a selfie with him. So I'm like, no problem. So, Ray, well, you have to. Don't you? I mean, my God, man, Spike Lee. So I go into the room, and Ray, when he was playing, he was like, there's some guys you can talk to. There's some guys you kind of got to walk up softly.
Yeah.
He had a towel over his head, and he was like preparing. And I said, "Ray," and he looks up, and he's like, "What's up?" And I said, I need to tell you something. He's like, what? Like, what do you want? Basically. And I'm like, "Dude, Spike Lee just told me to tell you good luck." And he goes, "You serious?" And he's like, starts smiling. I said, "Swear to God."
Spike Lee?
"Swear to God, man, I took a picture. I'll show you after." I said, he hugged me and everything. He goes, "Oh, sick, man." And we won that game. And I'm I remember saying afterwards,
cool.
We got to get Spike Lee here for Game 3. Like, we got to get him in here, man.
Up on the train with us. There you go.
Exactly. It was cool, though. It was pretty cool.
That's great.
But, man, we were like,
I think about it a lot. Like, it's what would have happened,
Yeah.
If we had won Game 7, and as you said, they got to the final, lost to LA that year, and it's you never know. We never will, and that's the shitty part about it, right?
Right.
Give us one more game, but
exactly.
But, playing in MSG though, that was always a fun. My favorite place to play. What a cool spot! Yeah,
I love that building too.
Right. Well, appreciate your time, Mase. I know you got some chores around the house there. You got to take at times.
Appreciate you guys requesting me to come on. It's been neat to see you guys kind of progress and whatnot. So thank you for thinking about me and having me on. And
of course,
if you ever need another guest, I'm more than happy to come back on.
Hey, dude, we'll call you.
You guys gonna be like the new Howard Stern, eh? You got to get on fucking Sirius XM or something.
That's the next phase.
We see Riley has 2 young daughters, Mase. You know what that's about.
Yeah.
I got this guy yelling things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know what's be worse, having the girl or having a little guy,
I'm just,
especially if he's gonna follow in your footsteps. Eh?
Whoa! Hey, I blame my dad.
Yeah, right.
I blame Sudsy.
Papa Sudsy.
Oh man, this guy. We're at the concert the other night. There's this. Obviously, it's Guns N' Roses. So there's this woman standing there in the shortest cutoff jeans she could have, right, and the smallest top she could have, and she's got these heels on. They're like 10-inch heels. I know they're not 10-inch, but they're huge. So she's standing there. She's like 6'5" in her heels, and he's nudging me. He nudges me, and I look down. I'm like, what? He goes like that. And I turn. I'm like, you like that? He goes.
She's 7 years old.
Just turned 7, boys.
What is he? Grade 1, grade 2?
2, yeah. And he gets mad. I told someone today, he likes his new teacher, but he had a crush on his first grade teacher, big time crush, man. Every picture they ever took, he's nestled up right beside Miss Hammett. So
big grin.
Look out!
Yeah.
He's a mess.
Look out is right.
Keep
him away from my dog.
I was gonna say,
Riley, you might have to watch out.
No, he
buy a shotgun there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ken's has her birthday party Saturday. I said, we're coming. I said, we'll be there in between his hockey games. And he goes, no, Elvis can't come.
Yeah.
It's a pool party.
Leave Elvis at home.
And then I said to him, well, make sure Ash has a nice bikini on. Then he goes, all right, you can't, neither one of you guys can come. Thanks, Mase, man. We love you, man. Miss you, buddy.
Yeah, it's good seeing you guys. It's been way too long. Miss all the fun we used to have. Good time.
Well, hopefully things get better and you can move around and we get to run into each other here.
Absolutely. Would love it.
Be awesome.
All right, guys. Well, listen.
All right.
Good catching up. Fun watching you guys do your thing. So
thanks, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Let's not wait so long till next time, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Mase.
Later, Mase. That episode was brought to you by SettlemyreSkateSharpening.com for all your hockey needs and the best sharpening around. Visit Nasty at SettlemyreSkateSharpening.com and BodyCheckWellness.com for all your CBD and functional mushroom needs. You got stress, anxiety. Check us out at BodyCheckWellness.com. And a big thank you to Stone Cold Steve Mason for hopping on with us and sharing some stories as well as some insights into his personal life of what he went through throughout his career. So it was nice to reconnect with Mase and talk hockey and talk real talk.
Yeah, man. Miss that guy. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he really is.
Good catching up with him, man. You're right though. It's just sometimes, it's like he kind of said there, people think, they don't want to hear any complaints, but at the end of the day, everyone's human. Everyone goes through things and all of us do, not just athletes. Everyone goes through things, but it's not as easy sometimes as people think it is, obviously. And he had a tough time. I mean, you're 23, 24 years old getting on a plane and I'm either going this way or that way, man. You're pretty young to be feeling that anxiety, that way. It can't be easy, but he got to Philly and decided to go north instead of south. So
yeah, right. He tacked on extra 4.5 years with the Flyers, another year in Winnipeg, so another five and a hook years on his career. But what's more important was he's able to preserve his mental health because, as you mentioned, I mean, stress is a killer. Doesn't matter what line of work you're in. Stress, pressure. I mean, it gets to the core. It really affects the nervous system and the brain. And, as he talked about, I didn't realize that, until he told the story, how affected he was by it. But I can't imagine, obviously I went through my own version of that, but I also wasn't a goaltender that's, taking on the brunt of all the pressure.
Yeah.
I can kind of lay in the weeds and lay in the weeds on the bench because that's where I was sitting most of the time. But nonetheless, I felt what he felt, in my own version. But it's not easy. Yeah. I mean, people make the comments about you making the big bucks and you got to, toughen up and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We were just fortunate enough to play a game for a living. And
Yeah.
You know, and obviously it is a luxury in the Western world here to play in the National Hockey League. But the issues guys deal with are the very same issues that the real world deals with. So just
100%.
to humanize the person here and understand we're all in this together, you know, just it's not about athlete versus non-athlete or whatnot. It's just about being real, you know. Pressure crumbles people. So
it does.
I was trying to support people, and it's great for him to be open about this, because this is how we kind of make change.
Yeah, it's funny how it also on a lighter side is, you know, winning that Calder Memorial Trophy, like it never really hit him, you know, till later. He said, you know, like, actually that's a pretty big deal. Yeah, it is. It's a really big deal, man. I thought that was kind of funny, because we never really ever talked about that, to be honest, when he was here. I mean, why would you really talk about it? But I guess, you know, finally hit him once he was done playing that, damn, that's a pretty major award.
Yeah,
you
no
know, that I was able to win, and it's impressive. You know, any of the kids that come into the league and win that trophy, you're a pretty damn good player. If you're, you know, obviously if you're in the National Hockey League, you're a pretty damn good player, obviously. But to win that trophy is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And it was interesting to hear him talk about, like, it almost seemed easy for him.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear this a lot, you know, the guys' first years in the league seem easier. I'm not going to say easy, because nothing in life is easy, but easier because maybe there's not quite the same pressure. Yes, there's pressure, but, you know, you don't have, you know, all the fans ripping on you for, you know, previous year stuff. You haven't built that, that name in the community yet. And you're really going off pure, you know, energy and spirit, right? I mean, you're basically living your childhood dream in the moment, and you're kind of rolling with it. So, interesting to hear him talk about that, you know. And then he wins the Calder, but then you hear the next year is the hardest year. It's like it's bouncing back and doing it all over again. And I struggle with that. It was like, oh yeah, my first year, full year with the Flyers, you know, fighting all the tough guys and. You know, I thought I did relatively well. I got, you know, the most improved player with Kobe there with the Flyers, and then the next year is like, wow, God, I gotta do this all over again. I gotta stay, you know what I mean? I gotta stay consistent, and that's, you know, I think that's where the mind games start. And you know, it's all about consistency, well, in life. But you know, if you want to stay in the major leagues in any sport, you have to stay consistent. And as soon as you start being inconsistent, that's when, you know, you become replaceable. So
exactly.
But nice to see him find his way. Had a hell of a career, hell of a guy.
He's only 33 years old, and I meant to say this during the thing, because I don't know. I hope it doesn't make him mad. I don't think it does. He always laughs at me, but I'm like, dude, you should still be playing. You're 33. You know, for goalies, sure. You know, and another thing, I do say that to him all the time, like busted his chops just to mess around. But I even, you know, he's been done 3 years now. He's only 30 years old, but he also told of how it just took a toll on him mentally, you know. So I say that lightly with him just because he's still such a young man. But one of the things I did bring up is the athlete he is. You're talking about an athlete. This guy is an athlete, man. Like he made saves. Yes, obviously he came up being a goalie, but there were some saves where, you know how you have some goalies that, not that I'm a goalie expert, so I'm not trying to say that, but they go down their butterfly. They're big. This guy could jump, move, like athletic, he just so athletic. Yeah. Like, so, and not that other goalies aren't athletic. Everyone that's playing in the National Hockey League are good athletes, or great athletes. Some of the best, but man, he was just a really good athlete. Big too, like a big guy. Like, I don't think people realize how big Mase is.
Yeah, I know, right?
He's a big man. He was always in shape, pretty jacked for a goalie. You know, like nowadays most goalies are in way better shape. But anyway, he had a good career, man, and you know, I'm glad to see, like you said, he's healthy and feeling way better, and that's awesome to see.
Yep. Well, you made the right choice. You know, you got to listen to the heart and follow it. And, you know, like you said, like you're joking, like, oh, you should still be playing. But if you're not feeling it, you know, you got to make a move, right? And that's in any walk of life and any career. So props to him for stepping away and following his heart, because that's what it's all about. Now he's got an opportunity to spend time with his children and find his way on the other side of the fence. So
Yep.
Wish Mase nothing but the best. Appreciate him hopping on.
Yeah, Mase Daddy.
Yeah, so that's a wrap. Episode 40 of Nasty Knuckles. Be sure to tune in next week for episode 41. Until then, folks, stay safe.
See you, knuckleheads.